Hello, everybody. How's your Thursday going? I'm Nancy from Nancy's Life Coaching by Nancy, and I have to tell you, this is part of mindset. I have to tell you, I just spent an hour trying to set up one of those ring things, whatever, that help your. I can't even explain it. So frustrated that I could not get this thing to work correctly. So, an hour of my day has just been spent trying to fix technology. I did an entire video and there was no volume, there was no sound, nothing. Not a fan of having my day kind of chipped away with technology, but I prevailed. Persistence. When you're persevering, you can do anything. So, how is everybody? Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that there's so many new people to this community that I'm just in massive gratitude towards you for being here and for having interest in me and my coaching and what I can offer this community. So today I want to talk about who listens to you. Listening is not something that listening is not something that we are taught. We're not taught in school. We're not taught by, really parents. Some children grew up to just be seen and not heard. Well, I wasn't one of those children. I was a talker. And, it was not discouraged in my household to not talk. Generally, the adults I was around, they wanted to hear what I had to say, which, was kind of refreshing, except for when you become an adult and you deal with other people who were sort of just to be seen and not heard. The communication is difficult. So if you're a communicator like I am, it's difficult to be around other people who are not. One of the things in listening that I feel is extremely beneficial and it's just beneficial is to not interrupt when another person is speaking. You don't need to interrupt people. That is the quickest way for me to stop talking. Because apparently I'm not important enough to listen to, or you're distracted somewhere else and you don't want to listen. And that's fine, that's okay. But I'm not going to keep talking. So I know all of us know somebody somewhere that either interrupts or they talk over you. Both of those things are extremely detrimental to communication. Extremely detrimental to communication. I want to emphasize that. Being an effective listener is not just, biding your time and putting in your time listening to somebody else. Being an effective listener is actually engaging, being present, being there for that other person, and also retaining the information they give you. I often find that people are amazed that they can tell me something 2 weeks ago, a month ago, a year ago, and I can bring it up again. Like, oh, you said that, such and such. And I get, you heard, oh, you remember that? It's almost like you paid enough attention to what I had to say. So that leads me to the other point, which is every human on this earth has the same thing in common. And that same thing in common is validation. We all want to be validated. We all want to be heard. We want to be seen. And we want to know that we matter. So I did another video last week about showing up for others, but who listens to you? Who can you speak to? And they're not trying to fix you. They're not trying to solve your problems. They just hear you, support you, and they're there for you. This is very rare. So I have a handful of friends that are like this. Well, less than a handful that are good listeners. I have a handful of friends that are great, but not all of them are good listeners. And again, that's okay. That's okay. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. Something to consider is to pay attention when someone is speaking to you. Listen to what they have to say. You don't have to be on the same page as them. You don't have to agree. You can completely disagree with somebody. But considering what they're talking about is something that I find is extremely useful in this world with our connection to people. Life coaching, what I do, you don't have to be certified in the state of Washington, but I have certifications through ICF for health and wellness and mindset. I also worked in behavioral health, was a clinician's assistant, and was going to be a clinician, but I felt that the work I was doing was, although gratifying, it was extremely draining, working with people with substance abuse, which I'm not good with because I can't lead where I haven't been. And being that I don't smoke or drink or do drugs, I can't relate to somebody who has an issue with substance abuse. People with clinical depression, people with schizophrenia, bipolar 1, bipolar 2. I've had experiences with all of those people and worked for a wonderful nonprofit agency here in Washington State. So I feel that listening was a key component to my success in the areas of working with people who had mental illness or, large amounts of anxiety, which now we have even more of a crisis in mental health as far as people suffering from anxiety, stressed out. That's a mental health issue, something that needs to be addressed, and mental health needs to be reformed. Working in corporate America, I really only felt like I was heard a couple times. And the statistics on people who are unhappy with their job is extremely high. And it's not the job so much that they're unhappy with, it's the management. Okay. CEOs haven't seen a customer in, 10 years. Middle management is where it all breaks apart. And middle management offers positions of babysitting, not leadership. I don't know how many times I brought up leadership in the financial world where I worked. And it was like I was proposing some absurd thought, leadership. What are you talking about? Well, if you want your company to run effectively and be successful, you need to offer leadership classes to all levels, not just management. And I was in management when I left the financial world. And, that's another thing. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't think, well, I'll just be a life coach. That wasn't my plan. That is where I am the happiest and most alive, is what I'm doing and making a difference in my clients, in their lives, making a difference by just simply being there for them and not trying to fix a situation, just offer a different perspective, which is what counseling does also, which is what psychiatry does also. Anything in therapy, they don't have a magic pill for you, so to speak. They don't have, something that's going to be an end all to your problems. They can offer you a different perspective, and that's about it. You've got to do the work too. So what I'd like people to do is the next time, just try this out, the next time that you're with a friend or a family member, try to just listen. And I mean, really engage in what they're saying. Don't just listen to listen. Engage in it. Be present. Be there. Listen. Listen with empathy. Empathy is different than sympathy. Empathy is feeling your whole heart in their matters. What they're talking about, your heart is feeling also, and you're saying, I understand and I'm with you. We would all love somebody to do that for us. We would all love for someone to, be so supportive of us. And there's a handful of people, in my lifetime that have been very supportive. And then there's some that haven't been, and that's okay too. That's okay too. Rejection is protection. If you have ever been fired from a job, or you've ever had a friend betray you or a family member, just remember, rejection is protection. So sometimes when people are not in our lives, it's to protect us. It's to protect us. And that took me a long time to figure out. It took me a long time to sort of, get to the idea that not everybody has the same heart as I do. And not everyone's going to have the integrity that I do or the loyalty that I do. Not everyone's going to be as truthful and honest. I mean, I worked in finance. I took care of vaults. I actually, funny enough about vault, I had a interview with this guy. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I don't see a bright future for him. But I had this interview, and I had mentioned what I had done, and I got to the vault area at a certain bank that I worked at. He asked me what the vault limits were. And I said, I don't remember. First of all, you're not supposed to give out information about the company that you worked for. You sign a piece of paper. Yeah, it's kind of a big no-no. And because it was an interview, I didn't want to say, you're not supposed to ask me that. You know that. I didn't want to do that. So I just said, I don't remember. Do I remember? Absolutely. I'm not going to tell anybody about that. It's ridiculous. So just to say, I'm so glad to be out of the corporate arena where companies work their people to death and treat them like numbers, not human beings. Where companies out there do not offer leadership classes. And if they did, wow, what a change that would make. Again, my cousin Bobby Harrington wrote a book called Lead You. And it is about leadership, among some other things. And if companies were smart, they would hire people like him. They would hire people like me to coach their employees. Customer service is a learnable, teachable skill. Leadership is a learnable, teachable skill. And yet we've got all these corporations out there that are just too focused on their numbers and this and that, and not focused on the human beings that are there on the front line taking care of everything for their company. Something to think about. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Remember, April 14th, 7 p.m. I hope that you are going to be there. Click on going. You'll see it on my timeline, and I hope to see you there. It's going to be fun. So everybody have a great rest of your day and take care. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. And I always look forward to the next time I can share something. So until then, take care, have a great rest of your day, and be well.